There's a moment after someone finishes talking where nothing happens. No nod, no sound, just air. You notice it because it lasts a second longer than expected. Long enough to feel your jaw tighten. Long enough to hear your own breath. The other person doesn't move. Their face stays neutral. Not cold. Not warm. You wonder if they heard you. You replay your last sentence in your head. It sounded fine a moment ago. The pause keeps going. Not dramatic. Just steady. You think about filling it. Not because you have more to say, because the quiet feels unfinished. And right before you speak again, you realize they're still waiting. You speak again, quieter this time, not on purpose. Your words come out slightly rearranged, softer at the edges, less certain than before. The other person still doesn't react. No interruption. No sign you're on the right track. You start watching them while you talk. Their eyes, their mouth, any movement at all. Nothing arrives. So you keep going, adding small clarifications you hadn't planned, explaining parts that didn't need explaining. The silence doesn't push back. It doesn't guide you either. It just stays where it is. And slowly, without deciding to, you begin adjusting yourself around it. You begin to notice your timing, the gaps between sentences, the way your voice drops at the end, how quickly you start again. Each pause feels louder now, not because it is longer, because you're aware of it. You wait for something to happen in those gaps. A nod, a shift, anything. Nothing comes. So you shorten the silence yourself. You step in sooner, before the space settles. The other person remains still, unhurried, unchanged, and as you rush to close the gaps, they never have to. They simply let you do it for them. Your attention starts to turn inward, not fully, just enough. You hear your own voice more clearly than before, the way it sounds in the room, the way it hangs. A word lands wrong. You notice it immediately. You correct it, casually, as if it matters. The other person gives nothing back. No sign they noticed. No sign they didn't. That uncertainty sharpens your focus. You become careful, more deliberate. Meanwhile, they stay exactly the same. And without being told, you start doing the monitoring that silence never asked for. Certainty begins to thin, not all at once. In small places, you state something plainly. Then wait. The response never comes. So the statement sits there, untouched. You feel the urge to adjust it, not because it's wrong, because it hasn't landed. You add a detail, then another, just to see. Still nothing. The quiet doesn't disagree. It doesn't agree either. And in that absence, your words start moving while theirs stay, exactly where they were. You start guessing, not consciously. It happens underneath. You imagine what the silence might mean. Interest, judgment, calculation. Each possibility changes how you speak next. A phrase softened, a point delayed. You react to expressions that were never shown, to thoughts that were never offered. The other person remains unreadable. No signal to correct the picture you've drawn, so the image keeps shifting with every sentence. And the longer it goes on, the more you find yourself responding to something that isn't actually there. You become aware of the imbalance. You're doing the work. They aren't. You're choosing words, watching reactions, managing the flow. They sit back, not visibly, but enough. Nothing is being returned. No effort, no adjustment. That unevenness settles into your body. Your shoulders shift, your voice tightens slightly. You compensate without deciding to. You keep things moving. You carry the moment, and the quieter they stay, the more responsibility you take on. The silence starts to feel normal, not comfortable, familiar. You stop expecting a response right away. You plan around the gap. Your sentences get longer, less precise, more open-ended. You offer extra context, background, details no one asked for. The other person lets it happen. They don't steer you back. They don't stop you either. With nothing to push against, you drift. And without noticing when it began, you're saying things you hadn't intended to bring into the room. You look for an ending, a natural place to stop, a signal to close it. You reach one, then wait. Nothing arrives. The moment stays open, unfinished. So you extend it. One more sentence. Then another. The silence doesn't help you land. It doesn't cut you off. It just leaves the space unsealed. And each time you try to finish, you feel yourself leaning forward into a gap that never closes. Eventually, you stop reaching. Not because it's over, because there's nowhere left to place the words. The silence remains, unmoved, unchanged. Nothing was said to end it. Nothing arrives to resolve it. You sit with the feeling that something should come next, that it almost did. And then the moment passes without ever becoming what you were waiting for.